recording? Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Labyrinth Society's Many Paths, Many Visions podcast session with your host, Christiana Brenton. This series theme I call Tales of Using Labyrinths While We Shelter in Place. And my guests and I will be exploring the many ways the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted the worldwide labyrinth community, while also calling on us to use labyrinths privately to foster creative care healing solutions during this lengthy quarantine phase. Joining me today is Carmel Stabley, the Labyrinth Society's Regional Representatives Chair, and some of the TLS regional reps as well. If you are joining us on this GoToMeeting session, please keep your sound muted by making sure the microphone icon in the lower middle of the screen, it's on a little GoToMeeting control panel there. It has a line through it. Plus, you don't need your camera, so you can mute it. You can make sure that the camera icon also has a line through it. This icon and others will appear on your computer screen once you're logged in, but if you call in by phone, you will not see this. You can unmute yourselves and ask questions during the Q&A session at the end of the interview. And for those of you who are regional reps who were invited to come on by Carmel, then when I ask questions of the group, please unmute yourselves and we'll figure out who can go first and et cetera. But this is sort of more of a group guest event, and we haven't had many of these, but I'm sure it'll go just fine. So you can find the GoToMeeting invitation posted on the TLS Facebook page and the global group, and on TLS's website on the news update page and the What's New column on the right-hand side. So this episode is entitled An Unstoppable Labyrinth Initiative of Connection, the Labyrinth Society Regional Reps. And leading this episode is Carmel Stabley, the current TLS Regional Reps Chair, and a few of the 60 plus RRs, we fondly call them RRs, Regional Reps, that are active around the world today. So let's first, what I asked here was, can we get your names, please, for this podcast recording? So if you want to unmute yourself and just say your name and where you are a regional rep, that would be good. How about if I ask Frank Fain, do you want to chime in here?
Yes, this is Frank Fain, a regional rep for one of the regional reps for Florida.
Okay. Thank you. And Angela Beam?
Hi, I really go by Chris, my middle name. I'm using a different computer this time, and I represent the Atlanta metro area.
Okay. And Ruta, are you on now? She's been here for a while, but she's not really responding. So let's go Susan Murphy. How about Susan? Susan, I can hear you now. Can you hear us?
Oh, good. You can hear me. Sorry, I couldn't figure out how to unmute. I'm getting confused.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm the regional rep, Rwanda.
Okay. Terrific.
Did I make a boo-boo?
Nope, you didn't. But you live in the United States as well, correct?
Nope, Toronto.
Oh, Toronto. Sorry, Canada. In the North American continent, yes. Okay. All right.
Right.
All right. Thank you, Susan. And I'm going to mute you. Okay, you did it by yourself. Okay, Terry.
Good evening from Tennessee, everyone. It's Terry Price, and I'm the regional rep for Tennessee and also one of the regional rep liaisons.
Thank you, Terry. And Janice?
Hi, I'm the regional rep for Illinois and Ohio.
And Janice is also the vice president of the membership committee, and brought Carmel on board. And she's been doing a fabulous job. How about Karen Kelly?
Hi, I'm Karen Kelly, regional rep for Texas.
Thanks, Karen. And Carol Maurer?
Hello, everyone. Great to hear everyone's voice. I'm Carol Marr. I am the regional rep for the state of Delaware, as well as the events calendar coordinator. So when you have regional events, please submit them to me and I can put them online.
Thanks, Carol. And next is Margaret Rainbird.
Hello, I'm Regional Rep in New South Wales, Australia.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for organizing your time clock to come on this. This is wonderful.
Unfortunately, it's 9 o'clock in the morning here.
Terrific. Thank you. All right, next is Sadell Wilshire.
Yes, hi, I'm Sadell Wiltshire, and I am the regional rep for Vermont, state of Vermont.
Thanks, Sadell. And Holly Carnegie Lecker's on also. Let's see if I can unmute her. Holly, can you hear us?
Hi, yeah, hi there.
Hi.
I'm Holly from Vancouver Island, Canada, regional rep.
Okay, thank you all so much for being on this podcast. This is great. And let's see, you can, and Holly, you can turn off your camera because we're not going to do, it's only audio only, and mute yourself too so we can, so Carmel and I can talk about some things. Thank you. And then we'll get you back on in a little bit. All right.
Just one thing, I'm a Lorking regional rep from Eastern Pennsylvania, Bill Garrow.
Hi, Bill. I don't see you on here.
I'm on my phone.
On your phone. Thank you so much for oh, let me see. Do I have you on the list? Okay, so that's too bad that it doesn't.
Nice to hear everybody's voice.
Yeah, thank you. It's too bad that it doesn't come on the side so we can, so the moderator, whoever you call me, can know who's on there. All right, so this is a way for people to know what the Regional Ruts Program is. And it's really a great time to be doing this because we just had a fabulous World Labyrinth Day event where we had lots of regional reps involved and participating. So I think we're sort of riding on the coattails of that now. So let's get started. So first, let's get some background about the Regional Ruts Program within the Labyrinth Society. So Carmel, can you tell us, give us a brief synopsis of the history of the RR program and the effort to create regional connections through this program? Carmel, are you there? Okay.
Christiana,
yes.
The regional rep model was set in place for several years, but when I came aboard, the coordinator's position had been empty for a few years, so the program needed attention. 3 years ago, I originally volunteered as a regional rep, but at the invitation of the membership chair, Janice Lewis, who was also our regional rep in Chicago, I became the regional rep coordinator. I was given a blank chalkboard and a piece of chalk and set loose to recreate, rebuild, refresh, and revise the regional rep network. The first thing I set out to do was to build the team. We started with about 37 reps, and we are about 60 now. We are at 60 right now. Talent like Dee Clark and Ruta, Frank Fain, Eve Hogan, Clive Johnson, and many other fabulous regional reps that are present here tonight happened because of that fresh onboarding. And now Kay Whipple, our president, who doubles as our regional rep in the upper state New York, longed to see the network nurtured and supported as it deserved to be. Therefore, she wanted to have the coordinator's position become a board position. So a vote was taken and I became a board member, and what a difference it made for me to be able to inspire and support our regional reps from the deep understanding of our mission and new visions. So our regional reps are the voices of the labyrinth. Having them as our TLS ambassadors is a gift and it's a privilege. This is a group of dedicated, talented people who have much to offer their communities, other TLS members, and the global listening ear. Many of them are highly visible, while others are unsung heroes. But they are all ready to assist when called upon, and they are equipped with the knowledge to lead others to the benefits of our society. And we're looking to fill some more seats on the team. So if you know of any members, send them my way. We've developed a global vision, Christiana, and we're taking small steps to build a network across the globe that supports the work of our reps and what they're doing in their part of the world. LAN, the Australian Labyrinth Network, and other individuals around the world are supporting this vision. We recently onboarded, through the efforts of Susan Murphy, a new regional rep in Rwanda. Her name is Francine, and we're so happy to have her. So communication is the key that unlocks the energy for the co-creative projects and the problem-solving collaboration that's going on with the regional reps, Christiana. And I've witnessed participation of reps getting involved, supporting each other's work, and co-venturing more than ever. So I can talk about several building blocks we put into place, such as newsletters and surveys, touch-base emails, rep lunches at our gathering, Facebook group. We have regularly scheduled go-to meetings. But the one that I am most excited about is the addition of our regional rep liaisons, Darla, Terry, and Ruda. They're here with us tonight, except for Darla. Darla, our rep in Oklahoma, is not feeling well today, so we want to hold her special in our hearts. But the regional rep liaison team was really put together because this is bigger than just one person. We need to, share some of the vision casting that we're doing and pull in new talent and let that new talent just take it away and do what they can to support the other reps around the world. So, we're budding as a team. We're carving out time from our busy schedules to become a cohesive and cross-trained team of liaisons. And we're looking to, in the future have, well, we do now, actually. We have two sets of go-to meetings, Christiana. One is more designed for the time zones in the continental USA, and the other meeting is more designed for international. But we're looking to even divide that up a little bit more and try to have more meetings within people's time zones, so more of our reps can join in. So that's it in a nutshell. And don't know if any of the other reps want to add to that, but feel free.
Well, I have a question. You talked about some of the pieces of the training briefly, and I was wondering about this. Did you have some kind of outline or guide when you started when you restarted this program, or did this sort of just evolve organically as you tried things and then one thing didn't work and then you tried something else? So can you give a couple of examples of the training that you use for these volunteers that come on that may have some kind of background, but may not, I'm assuming that everyone's who's on tonight has very different backgrounds and very different experiences with labyrinths, and that's wonderful. But how do you make this a cohesive training experience so that everyone is united in the same track in terms of what they're doing, why they're representing TLS, what the purpose is, or whatever else that you think of?
I understand your question, and it's a good one, Christiana. We do have a little bit of description of what we would like our reps to come to the table with. And it's fairly simple. You know, most of our reps are already doing the work in their communities. They're members of TLS, first and foremost. Typically, they're a little savvy with, you know, social media. We ask, you know, what kind of experience they have with that, you know, so they can enjoy our Facebook group. But, you know, for the most part, they're all given the same opportunities for learning experiences. And, you know, what we ask of them is fairly simple. 95% of it is presence, is showing up in their communities with the message that they're already compelled to share, and then adding a bit of information about the society when they speak about their own personal benefits of being part of this tribe. So staying in touch with each other, you know, through our go-to meetings, they really yield pleasant rewards. They foster new ideas, new partnerships. The return for the reps, you know, they receive new resources, mentorship, tools, kinship, experiences out of the ordinary, and actually more opportunities. So most of the time, the people who are coming to us feel a call, feel a nudge to this, and are already doing a lot of this work. And, you know, just through collaboration and showing up at our meetings and staying in touch with each other, I think we train and teach each other. And so for the most part, and then we're digging into the website a lot and seeing what that has to offer, you know, just stretching ourselves where we have to in order to be more cohesive. And I think the fact that they're showing up, and they're showing up with a tenacious attitude, is what we're looking for in a regional rep. Everything else comes later.
And the liaisons, you have 3 of them so far. Are they specific to a territory or an area on the globe, or how do they operate?
Yes, actually, yes. So, and we're going to be defining that a little bit more. I'm actually looking to onboard 2 more, at least 2 more liaisons. We need more outside of the continental USA. So basically what we have going on right now is Ruta in Lithuania and I are coming around the reps that are more international. So we're holding go-to meetings for them, and we're looking at their needs a little uniquely, because their needs are a little different than some of the reps here in the States. They just sometimes need different tools and different types of support from us. So, you know, we're looking at that a little differently. Some of the other liaisons, their talents are really being cut loose. I have Terry, who is helping me beautifully with communications. I have Darla, who's been working on a couple different things. She worked with me pretty closely on a survey that we put out earlier this year, and the 3 of us worked pretty hard on that touch base letter that I'm going to mention here later. So we're sort of dividing our gifts, our talents, letting them sort of lead us. And what I'd like to see in the future is eventually taking the United States. That's why we need another liaison in the United States. I'd like to section it off a little bit, so each of the liaisons are loosely responsible for different, you know, parts of the nation, and so they can stay a little bit more in touch with the members in that area. So we'll be doing that later on this year. So we have liaison meetings, and we're due for one. We had one scheduled, but it's sort of, with the coronavirus hitting, we sort of just had to table that. We had to pivot and put our energies to things that were calling us at the time. And one of them was that survey letter that we put out, or should I say, it was a personal touch base letter that we put out about 3 weeks into our sheltering. So we'll talk about that later, I hope.
Okay.
Carmel, this is Annelle. Can I say something? I don't know if you've already said this. I'm sorry I was a little late. We ring bells for healthcare workers at 6 o'clock outside, so I was doing that. But one of the most meaningful things to me as a regional rep was that blessing ceremony that you had at the TLS meeting. I don't know if you mentioned that already or not.
Oh, at the gathering.
At the gathering, yeah.
Oh, so thank you for mentioning that. Yes, we, the regional reps at the gathering, we are doing a regional rep labyrinth walk in the morning. We have a regional rep luncheon where we can get to know each other, share ideas and what have you. So, and it's just, it really knits us together as a group within a group, and it's truly a blessing. So thank you for reminding me about that, Annelle.
She's turned her mic off, but thank you, Annelle, for bringing that up. I'm going to see if, now she's on again. Oh.
I mean, I wasn't going to say anything else, but yeah, that was extremely meaningful to me. Just being a part of the group, the regional rep, and I think that it really helps that we're that group for our region or our state or whatever, because I just learned that there used to be a group in Louisiana already. So it wasn't that I pulled people together. It's just that I went back and unearthed them, I mean, so it really, I think as long as you have somebody that's in that area, that really helps a lot. It means a lot.
Thanks, Annelle.
Annelle is a real mover and shaker. Thank you, Annelle. And I just wanted to mention that at that labyrinth walk, what we did was I did a hand washing blessing for all of my regional reps, blessing their hands for service. And so I hope that was something that was meaningful to everyone. Thank you, Annelle.
It was great. I love it.
That sounds lovely. So Ruda, if you want to jump in, I sort of wanted to go back to what you said about the different, there you are, about the different needs of someone in Lithuania as compared to other parts of the world. And Ruda, can you speak to that in terms of your regional reps tasks?
Yes, thank you for the question. My primary job is to connect new and existing members and friends of TLS in Europe. And before this pandemic, I have contacted my Reiki Marsara practitioner who lives and works in Ukraine. And she is interested in labyrinths and experience its benefits during my workshops in Lithuania, because she studied and lived nearby me. And I talked with her by phone and offered to serve as ambassador for TLS in Ukraine. But we right now under negotiation of this pandemic, so I can't tell more about the progress. But I think that in near future we may have a new representative.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So this really shows, this brings to the forefront the difficulties that we have in keeping connected, and things come up in a completely different script that we're being forced to follow and live by with this pandemic. Normal avenues of communication are not open to us. And when we try, sometimes things are put in our ways and there are blockages. And it's and what it sounds to me like what you're doing, Carmel, with all of these programs, with your letters and your meetings and your virtual meetings, is doing the best you can to keep connected, so that the regional reps themselves feel connected, the liaisons feel connected, and then they can use this energy to go out and help keep their Labyrinth communities connected. Is that sort of an accurate description?
You know, precisely. Again, 95% of it is presence. If we're present for one another, we can turn around and be present for others. And, you know, and in that message is also being present for ourselves. So, yeah. So I think the communication is key to turn the wheel in creativity and collaboration and new ideas that get sparked, and, you know, friends that hook up and do new things together and make new friends and explore new things with the Labyrinth and bring that back to the tribe. And all of that is exactly what I'm trying to do, is just to keep us talking and connected and vision casting together. So.
And you have now Frank Fain and Sadell are two regional reps from the East Coast, but opposite ends, East Coast of U.S. And you mentioned to me before we started that they wanted to talk about their way that they've come up with keeping connections. So Frank or Sadell, do you want to talk about this? Now, they are going to be on my podcast at the end of the month, talking in more depth about this. So you don't have to say a lot, but what I want to hear is how the two of you, based on your experience and expertise, came up with this idea to make connection and foster connection.
Well, Sadell, if you'd like to chime in, I know you're here. I'll start. I think the key here, and in some of our promotion for it, it started in relationship, and as a lot of things with the Labyrinth, it's about the relationship, and it was our relationship, because we're both Labyrinth facilitators, we're both creative people. We struck up a friendship, and actually we first met through Clive Johnson, who's a regional rep from the UK, through one of his programs, and we liked each other's creative work, and it led to a series of conversations which grew into what we're doing now, which has just blown us away. We're offering a free series of classes called Creativity and Connection, where we're exploring reflective art, journaling, and using finger labyrinths, and it's all based on the Labyrinth process. And yesterday we had our first session, and we had something like, help me out here, Sadell, because the numbers, I'm not good with numbers sometimes, but I think we had close to 85 people sign up in a very short period of time. And yesterday we had 66 people show up for the first session.
Yeah, it was over 60.
Yeah, it was over 60. And just the response was just amazing. I mean, people are hungry for community. And what's exciting about this for me, and Sadell, you can comment more on this if you would, is that a lot of these people come from both our personal connections as well as TLS connections and Labyrinth communities. And it's introducing the Labyrinth and the Labyrinth process in many, many different places. And I'm just bowled over, and matter of fact, we met earlier today to talk about what we're thinking about doing to follow on with this. And so, Sadell, do you want to add anything to what I just said?
I think you've pretty much covered it pretty well, Frank. What I guess I'll say is a lot of the people that have come to us are not TLS members. So, there's more opportunities to talk about TLS as well, and share about the Labyrinth. the other thing I wanted to say that I'm very excited about what Frank and I are doing, but I wanted to say that personally, I have been using video to spread the word about labyrinths. And recently, or at least last fall, I decided to try out this idea of introducing different labyrinths, kind of like the labyrinth locator, but to start doing a walk in a different labyrinth in my area and introducing people to different labyrinths via video, and then putting that out on YouTube and Facebook. So it's kind of a new thing, but it's another way to, I'm very interested in those sort of methods to get the word out about labyrinths.
Okay, Sidel, this is Christiana. I just wanted to, if you could please, first of all, explain what your background is that would have you be interested in doing this kind of thing, and then explain a little bit more about how you do these virtual visits to the labyrinths. Do you actually go with a camera? But first, talk about your own skill set and expertise a little bit.
Sure. Well, I came to the labyrinth as somebody who needed an outlet to relieve stress, and but I'm an artist, and I'm an art teacher, and I have been mostly teaching art as a meditative practice in various forms, and so incorporating the labyrinth into that was it was a natural fit for me. And I started there, but I then got connected with the Western. It used to be called the Western Massachusetts Labyrinth Group, or whatever, and got connected with people like Kathy Regali and Sister Laurie Villamar, who have done some programs for Veritas. And they're not really active anymore, which is really sad. So we don't have a presence in the general Southern Vermont, Western Massachusetts area. And so as far as my other skill sets, I'm a web designer. I have been comfortable with tech for a long time. I got fascinated with video and started taking a video marketing course a few years ago. And Terry is actually also part of that. And that's actually how I first met Terry, and Clive, I believe, Clive is in that too. And it's been a great, it's easy. I mean, I take my phone with me to a labyrinth walk, and I put it on a selfie stick, and I start talking and walking. And there was Lisa Moriarty came out recently and built a new labyrinth in Greenfield, Massachusetts, which is 40 minutes south of here. And I actually filmed, I think, 4 videos on that labyrinth, and I've taken groups of social workers to that labyrinth to introduce it to them to use for their clients and themselves.
And you're still sheltering in place there. So this is all virtual. I mean, you're going to a labyrinth site and you're walking around and talking while you're holding the camera, or it's a silent walk?
Yeah, no, I'll walk the labyrinth silently for myself, but then I will do an actual I will talk and walk and introduce people to talk about different aspects of walking the labyrinth. And I've actually put together, I have a 7-day email series that I had put out, and this isn't just for local people, this is for anybody that comes onto my website that's curious about labyrinths. It's a 7-day email series, and I think most of those 7 days has a video. And I wouldn't have been able to do that had I not gotten comfortable using video. So, but yeah, I put it on a selfie stick, turn it on, and just start walking and talking. It's as simple as that.
And this is something that's come up since the pandemic. I mean, you sort of have.
No, I've been doing this. I've been doing that before the pandemic. Actually, I do mention to people that, when they want to walk a labyrinth now for like World Labyrinth Day, well, there was, what TLS offered, but this was born a while ago. And it's just another way to spread word about the labyrinths. As during the pandemic, I've actually not walked many labyrinths because I haven't been out.
Well, this is a great way. It's a great way to introduce people and get and get people connected. You know what? From use, most people don't know what's in their backyards, in their areas, and that's. It sounds like it's a great way to do that. Thanks, Sidel. Thanks for sharing that. Frank, do you want to say anything about your background and?
I'm a I'm also the special projects coordinator, special projects chair for the Labyrinth Society. I come to the Labyrinth from a kind of an interesting background. I'm a retired ordained pastor. Spent 25 years as a psychotherapist, chaplain, do spiritual direction, and I came to the Labyrinth. Oh gosh, way back, I guess in the late 90s, and was fascinated by it and did quite a bit of Labyrinth work until I met Catherine McLean through a mutual ministerial friend when she was living in Jacksonville, you know, about 90 minutes away from where I live in Orlando. And we did some workshop for clergy renewal, and I got trained as a Labyrinth facilitator and have been doing lots of Labyrinth work since then. Two areas that I'm very, very interested in at the moment, well, actually 3 areas now. One is higher education, because I have done some college teaching, and I've actually gone back to school to finish a degree I never finished many years ago, and got involved in a special project to begin providing training for faculty, staff, and students on college campuses, especially the one I was attending, Rollins College here in Winter Park. And that led to some very exciting work in coordinating some projects with higher education in terms of getting a younger generation involved in Labyrinths, and that's gone extremely well until the recent pandemic, and we're trying to explore what we do with that now. The other thing that has come up recently, well, as part of my work too, is I've done a lot of work in inclusivity, especially with the LGBTQ community. And you interviewed me on your program a couple of years ago before I did a presentation on doing Labyrinth work with the LGBTQ community. Yeah. And I still continue to do that, which has also led to an interest in branching out to doing more work with the Labyrinth and men, recruiting more men and introducing the Labyrinth to more men. And I've done quite a bit of that work too, and we'll do more of that as time goes by. So that's kind of what I'm up to. Up to right now.
Thanks, Frank. Anyone else would like to step in and talk about how they are working with Labyrinths in this sheltering in place time? I don't want to pick on anybody, but Terry or Susan. I know Susan, you have just finished a South African or African project with Clive Johnson. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, thank you, Christina, for letting me talk about it.
Sure.
We were going along very well. We had a lot of interest. We had the Children's Peace Library, which is part of a larger network. We were making connections with other libraries. Grace Rwanda is another library that's a Canadian, and they actually sent a container and made a library out of it. So we had a lot of involvement with about 3 or 4 different organizations: Embrace Rwanda, Children's Peace Library, Grace Rwanda, Embrace Rwanda, and Gamma Arts, and the Kigali Public Library. So we were really, I thought, we really left them in a good position. We even made a labyrinth on the school compound, which was quite an activity. But the only thing now is the pandemic. Rwanda is more it's really hard to promote it while the pandemic is on because they're more focused on just survival. And they've been in a lockdown. So Francine, who is the regional rep, we were working on a proposal to do another project, but she joined the she was at the gathering. I did see her on one or two of the talks. But she, just before the gathering, she said to me that she had a different idea, but she was sort of stuck because the schools were closed until September, but she wasn't sure if the libraries were going to be open. So that's where we're at the moment. I'm a bit hesitant to push anything just because they're more in a survival mode, and I'm really concerned about how they're going to get, how to support them through this. So that's where we're at. I'm waiting for Francine to come back with her ideas and see where we'll go from there.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you so much. You were talking about the gathering, but you meant World Labyrinth Day that just happened this past weekend, the 2-day nonstop virtual World Labyrinth Day event that we had. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
she did it for her.
She was there. That's great. That's great. I didn't recognize her name on any of but I wasn't on every single one of the episodes.
That's because she didn't come in as her name. She came in as KP3. That's the Kigali, the Children's Peace Library, has got 10 different laptops, and she was using that one. So she was KP3.
Okay. So Terry, do you want to share anything that what you're doing? I'm trying to give the public a little sense of how you all contribute in your own personal ways with your own skills and experiences and expertise to creating more branches, more roots, more tree trunks, so this movement can expand and get deeper and get stronger and get more and be more helpful to people who don't even know that they could use labyrinths in ways that would be helpful to them. So that's why I'd like to give as many people as possible a chance to speak. We only have like 15 minutes left, but that's okay because it's just us anyway. So Terry, do you have anything you would like to share?
Well, without taking too much time, I came to the Labyrinth about 12, 13 years ago, and it was through a creative conference. And so although my experiences and my work with labyrinths have expanded far beyond that, that's still been a primary focus for me. And so I do a lot of workshops and retreats, and those have been canceled pretty much through July. And so what I've tried to do is to continue to connect with the people who would have been coming. And so we've been having Zoom sessions and online sessions. And so we've been having finger labyrinth sessions. I found that not only to be personally gratifying, but it's really been eye-opening for people who have attended my workshops in the past, who have physically walked labyrinths, but had no concept or really no idea about being able to use an alternate form of labyrinth. And so with the creative aspect of it, working through situations, giving questions, giving writing prompts, and helping people understand how that there are other ways, even when you're sheltering at home, you can still, quote unquote, walk a labyrinth. And so that's been really gratifying. And then on top of that, as with most of my experiences in doing labyrinth work, I gain much more out of it than I think the people with whom I work. So that's been really good. And I've got several sessions. My biggest retreat would have been June 7th through the 12th, actually in New Harmony, Indiana, with a fantastic granite cathedral labyrinth. And so we've been having sessions every other week and getting together and doing labyrinth work. And we're planning to do basically an online conference, again, no charge for any of the participants during that week. So that's been good. It's been good for all of us, and certainly it's been good for me.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you so much. It sounds like, so what I'm hearing is that, yeah. Yes, Carmel.
Christiana, this is Carmel. You know what, let me share a few things that some of reps that are not here with us tonight, but actually fed back to us through the little letter that we sent them. Terry and I worked on a letter about 3 weeks into our sheltering. We put a letter out asking our reps, you know, what can we do for you? What's going on in your life? And out of that, we actually created a little prayer list. If I'm going to call it a prayer list, for sake of better terms, and we lit candles for these reps who were going through things personally or had family who were ill and were overwhelmed with trying to pivot and you know, shelter. So then the second part of that was, you know, what they were doing differently. And they really came up with some great things. And let me just give you a little list here. So the self-care was first. They were taking care of themselves first. And then after that, they started to get creative. We had reps that put temporary labyrinths up in their yards and invited their neighbors. We had reps who put finger walking materials outside on little stands. We had some reps that donated to charities together. Of course, they were creating small groups over, you know, Zoom and FaceTime and what have you. They were offering prayer vigils and online devotionals, as Terry mentioned, finger walking. They reported more one-on-one phone calls they were making. They were sending out more handwritten notes. I myself was the recipient of a couple beautiful notes from Janice Lewis, who's just superb at that. And then we had some reps say that they were changing up their regular scheduled teachings. They had to stop and create information and materials that was more relevant to what people were experiencing. And one of our reps, actually it was Tony Christie, who answered, said that his message had turned to one addressing the fear and teaching people to, you know, self-love and hold space for transformation and to listen deeply at this time. So those were some of the things that came out of the feedback from some of our other reps from around the nation and around the world. And I thought they were quite creative with what they were doing. And what was so important is that they were not sheltering their voices, and wherever they could think to keep that labyrinth light lit, they were coming up with ideas. And I really love that tenaciousness about our regional reps.
That is wonderful, Carmel. Thank you so much for sharing that. It sounds to me like you have provided training materials and a means to connect with each other that has helped them help the RRs in all their different situations in all the different regions of the world be responsive and responsible, responsive to this dramatic change in how we are all living, responsive to all of the things, the repercussions of that change, and responsible in their way of reacting to that and way of providing service to people outside of what we think of as normal ways, you know.
Right, exactly.
And I think that is really indicative of what you just said. So my question now is, what I'm left with now is what are some things that TLS as an organization could be doing to support this better, to make things easier, how can TLS be more responsive or to provide more to you? It sounds to me that you and your RRs and your team and within TLS has been very responsive and has provided materials for them. But I'm just wondering, as an organization, if they would like what would they like to see? Anybody can chime in if you want to too. So go ahead, Carmel.
Since I had a little time to reflect on this, some of the things that I think would be beneficial for not only our regional reps, but for our members and for those who are likely to become members is to see, more of TLS and what they have to offer. I think our website is phenomenal. I'd love to see a show and tell training. Once we go to our new website, I would love to see more, and maybe we do it on this virtual platform, showing people the benefits of our wonderful website. We've been kicking around the ideas of regional festivals, and maybe that's something we have to do in the next 18 months because of the travel restrictions and perhaps eventually maybe the cost prohibitiveness of traveling. We don't know what's going to happen in the next few years. I also think that just promoting the more joint venturing between our members, and we hope that the regional reps are spearheading that they're in touch with members in the area. That's what we're hoping that they're doing, and inviting them to to join in local events and walks and what have you. I would love to see a TLS app. I know that we've kicked that around, but I would love to see a TLS app with push messages that are relevant to the season, to current TLS and national and even world events. I actually think that these podcasts are excellent to keep us connected. So we already are doing so many wonderful things, and I'm hoping that we're going to add, these virtual Zoom meetings or go-to meetings, webinars. I hope we're going to layer that on to what we're already doing so wonderfully. So I hope that answered a little bit of that question.
Thanks, Carmel. Does anyone else want to chime in? Or Susan, go ahead.
Yes, I just want to say that I really enjoy Janice's labyrinths on her windows, and I hope to see more from other people. It's just fun, and I think it's sort of like a signature that we can do more with.
I'll speak a moment about that then, because my friend Susan mentioned it. I live in downtown Chicago, and we are a hot spot still. Our numbers are still going up, the virus. And so for me, I live up high. I live on floor 41, downtown Chicago. And so I send messages to the city through my window, and I use sticky notes. And the other day I made a labyrinth and sent love to the city through the labyrinth. And the fun part about it is yesterday I had a window washer that stayed right in front of the labyrinth, and he gave me a peace sign. And so for me, that was wonderful. So I posted that many places. So yeah, thank you, Susan, for mentioning that. Yeah, even sticky note labyrinths can be educational and can bring peace to the world, I hope. One sticky note at a time, as I say.
In Toronto, some of the things we've been drawing pictures, the kids have been drawing pictures for people to and putting them on the windows, so the neighbors go through and spot them and things like that. So that's why I just think that these sticky notes could be more than just, anyhow, I'll just throw it out there.
Thanks, Susan. Yeah, I think that labyrinths can be a sign of hope. And I think that's, speaking of Tony Christie's change in his way that he's presenting things, discussing people's fears and, what's next, what happens afterward, what are the repercussions, is there hope for our planet, et cetera, et cetera. It's easy to go down a road, a dark alley of fear with that. So I'm glad. It's nice that, Carmel, you mentioned Tony Christie, and he's changed his conversation around labyrinths with his virtual Labyrinth, whatever he's doing. I don't know exactly what he's doing, but in Ireland, but just the conversation, changing that, and I think labyrinths. I don't know. Labyrinths are ideal as an archetypal image, no matter what design you use, for inclusivity and or at least unity. And there's that. See, it's more of a hopeful message than a lot of people are feeling now, especially in the United States, but everywhere. It's an uncertain time, and we tend to not like uncertainty very much.
Well, that's for sure. And you know what? We have to be able to be flexible. And on that note, I want to do my due diligence just to mention our recent go-to meetings and the one that's coming up. We had 2 go-to meetings that were scheduled smack dab in the middle of that shocking news of the pandemic, when we were basically scrambling for shelter. And we decided to push through and have them anyway, not to cancel them. And the one that we had with Eve Hogan was just such a blessing, and she really just gave light and love into a heavy time. And then the one that we had with the regional reps, the international regional reps, just addressing some of the fact that they had to pivot quickly for World Labyrinth Day. ALN had a whole World Labyrinth Day for in-school program put together, and they had to, in a moment's notice, take that whole person-to-person program and put it on a virtual platform. I mean, talking about spinning on a dime. So again, speaking of that tenaciousness and that readiness of spirit that we have as a community. And I also wanted to just speak forward a little bit about our next go-to meeting, which was really sought out carefully. I sought the right person for this, and we have coming up in June, Holly Carnegie Letcher is going to be our presenter. She's our regional rep up in Canada, and she's also an occupational therapist. And she's going to be talking to us about self-care on the labyrinth in light of the pandemic. So I want to just thank her for letting me pick on her and for her open-heartedness and her yes to the occasion. And we're looking forward to that special presentation that is especially carved out for this time and this in our lives and what we're experiencing. So we thank you. I want to thank you so much for allowing regional reps to share our passion and our heart and our vision, and with you and hopefully with other listening ears as they tune into this podcast, Christiana. It's meant a lot to me, and I'm sure it means a lot to the growth of our society.
Well, you're very welcome, Carmel. I just wanted to give Holly a chance. Holly, are you on? Do you want to unmute yourself and say anything?
Hi, sure. Well, thanks so much, Carmel, for just introducing that for June. I'm looking forward to sharing with everyone. Also, I'm planning something for the summer solstice. My Labyrinth pilgrimage, of course, has been canceled for this year, and I'm looking at just some doing maybe a couple of the sites that we were going to visit on my own. Probably do some beach labyrinth building, and maybe go to the equine labyrinth, and that I'm planning to maybe do that as a Zoom meeting, so I can put that out if people want to join us, just to have a little taste of some of the labyrinths on Vancouver Island. I'm excited about pulling that together.
So you're gonna go? Are you gonna go with a little video stick too, and walk around as you're walking around labyrinths? Are you going to be able to do that? You think?
I'm gonna try.
Well, I so wanted to join that, and now that's all been because the other one that you had first had with the drumming and all of the wonderful experiences there sounded just fabulous. So it will be postponed, but not forgotten. I think that is a part of this feeling of disassociate, this feeling like, are we going to forget what it's like to be together? Are we going to forget? There's all sorts of little pieces of not knowing come up when we're faced with this, and I think it's what you're doing as a group and with each other is really helpful to calm those kinds of fears. We are all still here. You can walk finger labyrinths. You can be in community with us. And I think an perfect example of that was the World Labyrinth Day, very hastily put together, but fun 24-hour event that we just had for all over world. The people walked all over the world and attended presentations, and I think that was a good example of people coming together and supporting each other and having each other's backs at a time when that doesn't happen. People aren't feeling that out in the world. And if anybody has anything else they want to share right now about any specific special occurrence or instance or sharing that you had or have had recently under these circumstances, under this sheltering in place with labyrinths in your communities, unmute yourselves and please share, because I think when you share, it's very beneficial for everyone. If they're listening to the podcast, they're saying, "Oh, I felt that way, and that's what I can do. Oh, okay." So I think that speaks to what you were talking about with Tony Christie and Terry and Frank and Holly and Anel and Sadell. I think that's what you're all doing, and I'm so glad that this program is in place and it's growing and people are feeling nourished from it. I mean, that's another thing. Are you all feeling nourished by this, by being regional reps? That's a good question. Anyone want to unmute themselves and speak to that?
Maybe I would like to say something about Lithuania. I launched 5 a.m. virtual club Unfair Advantage, and it's I go lively on Facebook at 5 a.m. and I talk about different how to deal with different emotion, about anxiety, shame, different feelings. And the next day I'm talking about chakras, how to harmonize, and in the future I will talk about meridans and many other topics, including I present also the practices to people, how to draw the labyrinth and how to walk, that we can walk with the labyrinth at home. So, and also I do guided meditations. So all those Facebook live stream videos reach about 200 people in Lithuania. And today I talk with the lady with whom I'm working with disabled people with multiple sclerosis. And tomorrow she will have interview with a very famous journal in Lithuania, and she will present this virtual club. So, and the possibilities for people to work with themselves.
Well, that's fabulous, Ruta. That is wonderful. So there's possibility of this getting out even further and more people knowing about it.
Yes. Yes.
Mm. This is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's very heartening to hear these stories and to hear what you're all doing. And I am so glad. Thank you, Janice, for finding Carmel, and the two of you, just really dynamic people creating this initiative. And because there was a regional reps program at the beginning, in the early days, as there was with the Veritas. I was a regional rep for Veritas years ago. But it takes someone with a vision and to get other people connected, which you've done, Janice, and then pass on that vision, and then have that person with their own style and their own way, like you have, Carmel, really create this initiative and make it keep it growing and keep it strong. And I think it's been a blessing that this has been in existence for this time that we're living in now. I see it as helping people stay calm and stay centered and stay grounded. So thank you so much. Carmel, do you have anything else that you would like to share? We're a little bit over, but anything that you want to say about what you see as the future of this program?
Well, I just want to piggyback on what you just said, that we are for this time. And I believe that more than ever, our call as Labyrinth facilitators in this world is going to deepen and awaken. And I'm so glad that we have at least some foundation, at least some skeleton put together of a wonderful group of people who are out there. And I just hope we continue to add meat to that meat to our bones, and grow and add more people to our society, and grow our regional rep network, because these people are phenomenal. You'd be surprised the talent that we're sitting on. I can't even begin. We have doctors, we have professors, we have lawyers, we have school teachers, we have people from all different types of walks. We have missionaries, we have people who are successful business people who are regional reps, and they have so much to offer, and just giving them a ways and means to do that is precious to this world. So I guess the thing I want to say is thank you, Labyrinth Society, for creating this foundation where we can all live.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Carmel. This is exactly what we need to hear and talk about at this time on this planet. And I think that we can all trust. I think most of us have walked enough that we sort of trust the Labyrinth energy, and we trust that things will unfold. I just want to say, please keep in contact with us in the communications area. Let us know what you need from us, how we can support all of these wonderful initiatives and virtual Labyrinth events, and I will continue. If any of you would like to be guests, personal, just guests by yourself, sole guests on this podcast. Ruda, if you want to talk about your programs and projects that you're doing right now, or Terry, love to have you. Please don't hesitate to drop me a line and let me know, and let us know, let TLS know what we can do to continue to support. I think it's a great idea to have regional events. And maybe that's something that we can really think about and delve into more as in the coming months. We certainly, because of World Labyrinth Day, the event being such a success and so many people being so positive about, with such a positive response about what they experienced, even with a few technical glitches here and there, we certainly are exploring that avenue. Because we've canceled the gathering, the in-person gathering, so we are exploring ways of keeping everyone connected. And I think TLS as a organization, the board of directors there is very, very keen on standing on your shoulders. What you've already created and the connection that you've already created, we can definitely support and grow for sure, in many ways. I mean, I think as the technology gets better, we'll be able to have, regional virtual events, and I think we will count on the regional reps more and more. I hope that's music to your ears and doesn't frighten you. But I think it would, if it's as fun as the World Labyrinth Day event was, then I think it's something that everybody can look forward to in the coming months. And as this whole pandemic experience progresses into wherever it's going. So I just want to thank you all so much for coming on today and being a part of Many Paths, Many Visions and sharing. It's been wonderful. So it's just been a wonderful hour. I hope people have learned something, and maybe if you're in an area of the country, if you look on the TLS website under who we are and click on regional reps and look and see if maybe there isn't a regional rep in your area and you'd like to join TLS and become a regional rep. I hope this recording, this hour episode, strikes something with you, lights a match, whatever, and you come and join us in this way, because I think what you're doing is fabulous, and I just wanted to thank all of you for joining me today, Carmel and Janice especially. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Christiana. We appreciate everything that you do for TLS. You're phenomenal too. And one of these days, we hope that you join the regional rep group.
There is one. Do you want another one in the same area? I thought about that, but I was like, oh.
Absolutely. It's a big state. It's a big state.
Okay, Carmel.
We'll talk later.
Okay, we'll talk
All right. All right.
All right. Well, thank you. We're out of time. It's been a pleasure sharing the hour with all of you. Thank you so much for joining me today, and many continued blessings on your paths. You've been listening to the Labyrinth Society's Many Paths, Many Visions on GoToMeeting and broadcast by Spreaker with your host, Christiana Brenton. Be sure to check the Labyrinth Society website, news updates, what's new area, Facebook page, the Facebook global group, and the YouTube page, the Labyrinth Society YouTube page, for a list of upcoming dates and guests, and also all of the ones that are already recorded. You can access recordings under Resources Media, and they're all on the TLS website as well as on YouTube. So if this podcast has piqued your interest in the Labyrinth Society and you'd like more information about membership, please go to www.labyrinthsociety.org/membership. So I just want to say thank you all. Many blessings. Stay well and secure, and may you find what you need on your path through life.